Hello, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for May 2024. My name is John Pankratz. I teach history at Albright, and each month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a glimpse inside our learning community up on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by students and teachers, and to think about its impact on all of us. Well, it's May, which means that commencement is happening this month. I have some distinguished seniors now who are awaiting commencement, but by the time you see this program, that will have happened. And it's always an exciting time of year, but it's also a time for a little bit of wistful reminiscence. And so we're going to do some of that today as well. We had our honors and awards ceremony last Sunday, and a number of these students received major prizes from their academic departments or from the college as a whole. And all of them, all 6 of them, have had a huge impact on our community and on the kind of learning that we do. Let me briefly introduce everyone here. To my immediate left is Leon Skonyan. Leon is an adult student. We're all adults in this room, but you're more adult than most of us. And you've majored in history and secondary ed with a view to becoming a teacher, and we're grateful for that. To his left is Veronica Heckman. She is a business major and accounting major, but she's done a minor in history, I'm pleased to say, and I've really enjoyed having her in class. She's also a 3.5 sport athlete. Sometimes you're a golfer, but most of the time you're a softball and field hockey player as well. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the intersection between D3 sports and being an outstanding student. In the middle is Taisha Charles. Taisha is a major in psychology and mathematics. That's right, but she does everything else as well. Sports and dance and cultural animation. She's a spokesperson for the college, and I will confess that when I met you in your fall of your freshman year, I knew you'd be on this show. Winner of the Gold A. Next to her is another absolutely multi-involved student, Alyssa Zerby. She's a psych major, but she's done some fascinating research with my colleague Justin Couchman. She's won the Gold A. She has also won Best of Show in the annual juried student art show. So someone of incredible talent and range. Next to her is Michael Thomas. Michael has been a leader since day one on campus, anything remotely cultural. He's been an editor of the Albrightian. He's been active in a number of societies. He's walked in almost every fashion show, I believe, and he's acted a little bit as the conscience of Albright College and the Albright community. And then next to him is one of our very favorite students and maybe the best loved member of the senior class, Ray Negron. And anytime you hear beautiful sounds coming out of the chapel or out of the Center for the Arts, Ray is there singing and performing on stage. He just had a triumphant performance in the Domino Players production of Urinetown, which was just fabulous, and it was wonderful to see you up there on stage. So that's a brief glimpse of who we have to work with today, and I think you'll have to agree this is an awfully talented crew. Let me ask each of you to think back a little bit on a sort of a high point, maybe a learning experience, maybe in a class, maybe in research, maybe outside of class that really stands out as you look back over your past four years. Leon, you want to start?
Sure. I have to go back to last spring. I presented at HEBC at Kutztown University. I did a 26-page paper on the Kerner Report on the Detroit riot.
Right.
When I presented it, it was in front of like 8 different professors, so that was pretty interesting to see my work, and they wanted to keep asking questions. So that was the highlight. A lot of mine's academic highlights. Really enjoyed my time academically at the college.
Right. And in all of your classes with me, you were absolutely the most serious student. And I think I described you as being hungry for knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that you devoured those books and made them meaningful to you. And I think always with a mind towards how do I explain this, how do I share this with younger students
Yes, history is beautiful. Yes.
as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Veronica, a standout moment.
Yeah, I would say almost every day at the college when I get to use the Bloomberg terminal. The business department gave us this great resource, being able to use the Bloomberg terminal for all my finance classes. Some of the best work I did on there was my investment portfolio. I created my own portfolio of investments, including stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and managed that. And then I did an algorithm. I created my own algorithm to maximize my portfolio and use it on the daily basis of what I should buy and sell. That's definitely a highlight.
You could have been advising the college on it.
I really could have been giving a lot of people a lot of financial advice, but I think I'll keep my algorithm for myself.
There we go. Okay.
Until I become licensed anyways, I don't want to be responsible for other people's finances without the proper licensing. But that was a highlight. And just another little highlight was going to the Muhammad Ali Deer Lake camp, place where Muhammad Ali trained.
Sports management course.
Yep, we went up there with sports management. And we also went to go to Yingling Brewery. We toured the brewery. It was nice to see the operations there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, well, you know that part of the world.
Yeah, that's right
Yourself.
in my home, right up my place.
Stomping ground. Great.
Yep.
Taisha, I don't know how you're going to single one learning experience. You've had two acres.
Yeah.
You were on this program, but you were on board a ship near Portugal when you appeared via Zoom.
Yeah. I think, so one of the most outstanding moments for me that I always think of was, as a first year student, I got to do an acre project the summer after my freshman year. And it was such an amazing project with Dr. Olinger, and it was on puzzles, and it was really complex math that I think back to sometimes, and I'm like, I cannot believe that I was able to understand this when I was doing it. And luckily, we were able to get accepted to present at a conference the following summer. So the summer after my sophomore year, I was in New York at the Museum of Mathematics for a conference. And originally, this was a conference that when you do research on campus, you always are told, hey, there's this conference going on, go present at it. And they're always typically undergraduate conferences. And so I had no question about this. At this point, I've presented at HECBC, and I knew my research. I realized I should be all right with it. And I got to the first night of the conference, and it was just an exploring of the museum. So I got to walk around the museum and just have fun playing with different math puzzles, which was really made the kid in me very happy. And the second day of the conference was just talks. And this second day, I was like, oh, this is very interesting that everyone that was speaking was a doctorate level professor. So I said, oh, I guess all the students are presenting on the third day of the conference. And I sat in the talks, and they were amazing, amazing talks. And I'm at lunch, and there was a sponsored lunch. So we're eating together, talking to different professors that are around, and they're asking me what university do you teach at? And I was like, I am an undergraduate student. And they're like, oh, that's so cool that you decided to come and attend the conference. And I was like, no, I speak tomorrow. And it was at this lunch that I learned I was the only undergraduate student presenting at this conference, and that literally every other person was some doctorate of mathematics of some sort, and they were teaching these complex things, and that already racked my nerves up really high. But something that was also really, really cool was one of the 3 people that I referenced in my research was in the room when I was presenting. And he had done several papers about these puzzles. So it became a very guiding moment where I was like, this is a very real experience, and someone that I literally mentioned in my research is in the room with me. And he asked me questions afterward, and I was like, why would you do this? But it was such an amazing and unique opportunity, and I think back to it and the ability that I had as an Albright student to do that, and it wasn't even a question of, oh, I wonder where she's coming from, and it's something I think back to all the time.
Great. And it's an empowering experience as well. You're not afraid to speak in public.
No.
At all. Alyssa, what are some of you've been active in so many fields. I should mention community service as well. You've been very active in the Reading community as well.
That's actually, that's what I was going to talk about. I think I had the most fun just being a part of all the arts in the community. So like I got to work with TXPL and work on like a lot of the mural projects and a lot of like the planning portions that a lot of people don't see, but also just like my weekly going down to the local middle school and like hosting the art club was really fun. So just anything to incorporate to the arts. I think even specifically this semester, I had a really fun time with my big 4-panel installation that was in the show.
Yeah.
So I contributed my entire semester to that, and that was also, it was based on some psychology themes, so I really liked to incorporate the two, and that was really fun. So I think, yeah, anything like where I got to include the arts in the community and stuff like that.
Right. I should have brought a photograph of your installation because it was really remarkable. This panic room.
Thank you.
Michael, can you single out a particular moment or particular experience that really mattered to you?
It is definitely hard. I feel like all my 4 years, each year offered something different. I think one thing that has been consistent for me was working with TXPL before it was TXPL, when it was still just SRI, or the Science Research Institute. I got hired on as like a research assistant, so I was designing like various surveys and various like assessment tools, and then I was still like an intern, but I would go into whatever seminars or classrooms and like observe, kind of like a participant observer, and it was cool to see that data and just the program grow into what it is now, and how big and how, I mean, even like global now it's becoming. That experience was like it was after my first year, so it was like, wow, I can't believe that I actually got this opportunity, and then to actually see it like be successful. I never had that much faith in myself as a high schooler. And through TXPL, I've had like many amazing opportunities. I've worked with like the STEM YAC camp, which had a NASA-sponsored curriculum. And this last semester, I worked with TXPL's 5th grade academy program. And that, it was really just like, it really like changed my whole perspective on education and just life in general, because working with the 5th graders, I realized like, we're not that different. Like, you know, like I remember being in 5th grade, and the fact that I remember like pretty vividly, like some moments, it kind of made me like, I'm actually having like a real impact on these people, and I'm gonna, like the way I'm moving, the way I'm acting, the way I'm presenting, everything that I'm doing is gonna matter.
It's going to matter.
So it made me just kind of take my role as just like a person in the community, or just a person that exists, more seriously, I guess. So, yeah.
College students are at this wonderful hinge point in their life, that they're coming out of youth and they're approaching adulthood, and they have a foot in both worlds. And that familiarity with youth makes them really wonderful resource for young kids, and then they can take that example, that impact, into their own futures as well. And I'm thinking of Leon as a future teacher, and I'm thinking of Alyssa and Michael, you as working with TXPL. Yeah. Ray, goodness sakes, it's hard to believe that we're at the end of all of this. Do you have a favorite thing that you've done?
No.
You're not going to choose favorites. Good.
Yeah. Playing it safe. I think a very good moment I had, we had the opportunity to go to Rocklitz. I think it was either last semester or early this semester. I can't quite recall. But I had the wonderful opportunity to go with a couple of other MIS students, and we headed over to Rocklitz, and we had this entire like schedule programmed where we went through different seminars, whether it was like technology or just different parts of the music industry. And I think that day specifically kind of just solidified that I definitely want something with music later down the line, because it's just so much more than you sing a note on a sheet and that's it. There's just so much more that goes into it, both like the technological side, just like the pieces and the bits and like all the wiring and stuff in between. I think it's just something that I won't forget. Like going to the studio every day, whether it's for class or whether it's just to say hi to some of my friends who are making beats or producing songs. It was just a great tool to have and something that I'm kind of gonna miss when I leave here.
Right. You won't have the automatic community, but you'll go out and build a community yourself.
Hopefully.
Yeah, all of you came into this school when that social aspect was really impaired by the pandemic, and I try not to even think about those classes via Zoom. And you know, thankfully we came out the other end, and I think your gifts as social animators, as good friends, as mentors to younger students, really got to shine. And I see Ray over in the mezzanine. They're mentoring some of the freshmen and sophomores, and they look up to you like crazy. And and I know wish you well as you go forward.
Thank you.
If you folks were to, I don't know, leave something to Albright, an example, a precedent, a word of advice, you probably have a lot of advice. I do too, but maybe choose something that mattered to you that you'd like to see continue. Yeah, Michael.
I would say be comfortable with gentle confrontation, I'll call it. Even when you disagree with somebody or you don't see eye to eye on like one particular issue, whatever it may be, I think there's a lot of value in that diversity. And I think it's just, it's good practice. It's going to help you clarify your own ideas. And that's how I feel like you're really going to build community and build accountability. If you're immediately kind of running away or avoiding any kind of disagreement or conflict, you're going to find it very hard to find friends and then just find anything in the real world.
Yeah, I don't think diversity is an easy environment. I think it presents all sorts of challenges to who you thought you were, but it's a process of growth. Because otherwise, if we're 16 forever, then then we live in a very small world. So I think even though it's a small college, it makes it a place where we can learn about being a much bigger universe with lots of different people.
Kind of going off of that, I have like a 2-for-1, but I think for students, really go out and seek every opportunity that's laid out for you. So I know so many of the things that I got to do at Albright, it's because I read the email that was sent to me or reached out and saw the flyer that was hanging on the walls. I think so many things that are happening really at any college campus, it's just seeking out those opportunities that are laid out right in front of you. And I think like one, I guess, for Albright in the same sense of like uplifting your students. I remember my first EAV experiencing Albright Voices Day, which was the first one that I went to, and I think to it all the time, but there was I want to say 2 or 3 hour segment, which was just students from the music department just performing for us in the CFA mezzanine. And it's one of my core Albright memories, and some of the people that I ended up becoming great friends with, I saw perform that day, and they just lit a spark in me. And being able to like experience that, and it was just like having no classes and be able to just watch my fellow students do the things they love, like that was one of the best experiences ever. And I think that was all through uplifting Albright Voices, and that's something I want to see the school continue to do, and my fellow students, like go and support your students and uplift your students to keep doing what they're doing, because we have some amazingly talented students on our campus.
That's right.
Shut up,
And they need to be celebrated and encouraged and enabled. I agree. Right.
To add on to that, just like positivity in our community in general. I was just telling Michael about this literally in the car on the way over here. Something that I did a couple weeks ago that I guess I wanted to continue before I left here is I had a deck of Uno cards. And what I did was every time someone would walk by, I'd be like, hey, want to play a game? Because, I mean, if you're not busy, you might as well just sit down and join the animosity that is Uno. But it gets people who you don't really get to see interact on a day-to-day basis in the same room, right next to each other, playing like they were old friends. And I just feel like one thing that I've tried to do throughout my entire time at Albright was spread positivity.
Yes.
I know it's hard because life isn't easy. We all live busy lives, whether it's academics, whether it's life, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's work outside of school, whether it's in between all the academic and student stuff that we do on campus. And I know we do a lot. But it's just always good to be positive. Even when you're having a terrible day, I think just saying, hey, that sure looks good on you, or hey, you want to play a game of pool. Little things like that genuinely go a long way. I know there have been days where I didn't feel like it was just my kind of day. And whether it's like one of my brothers or just one of my friends or just someone that I know that goes, hey, let's do something. Let's go somewhere. Let's go to Jake's. And I end up having like one of the greatest times of my life just by that one question, by that one positive attribute just changed everything.
I think that friendship, I think that social connection, it's part of what a small school like Albright is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ray. Other legacies that you'd like to leave behind?
I was going to say be involved, kind of feeding off what they said, being involved in 2 sports, field hockey and softball. Of course, I got to represent a little bit.
Yeah, you're entitled.
You know, and I joined the golf team too. They needed some help, so I helped them out. But being involved gets you out there, whether it's sports, clubs, intramural sports, sorority life, Greek life, fraternity life, excuse me. Just being involved. And then the other thing I would say is that it's a skill that I've really honed is critical thinking. Thinking about why you're doing something, the meaning behind it, the reasoning, not just doing it to do it or doing it to get the completion done, but thinking about what your purpose is, the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I guess everyone's involvement on campus. I'll do the academic side. I think I know the freshman year most people don't know what major they are, but I think once you find your purpose or find what you really want, just dive into it. Use college to fully dive into it. Internships, school clubs, but find purpose will help you get through college a lot easier. That's what helped me.
I think so, to have that level of dedication.
Yes.
So say, okay, I'm going to take myself seriously, and I'm going to take what I'm learning seriously.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I certainly have done that. Yeah. Well, yeah, Alyssa.
Yeah, I really liked what Veronica was saying about just doing things with a purpose and doing things for a reason, and also just thinking about like the things you say, the way you talk to people, the things you're a part of. As like me, I'm a very introverted person. I never thought I would have been a part of like a sorority, for example. I didn't think that was like something that was for me. But I think just, putting yourself out there and thinking about like what's the purpose of this, and you can still like be yourself. Like I can still be introverted and be in a sorority. So I think, just don't think that something's not for you because of the way you are. You can make something for you.
Yeah. No, the amount of change that I see in everybody over this 4-year period is it's inspiring. Michael.
And then not only should you get involved, you should also use your resources because Albright has so many amazing resources. The free writing center is really cool, but the counseling services I think are like a big highlight. That's one of the things that drew me to the college. Is having 8 free counseling sessions per semester, and now they even have a psychiatrist, so you can get some medication And for me, that's just like completely unheard of. I mean, now I'm on Prozac, and that's really helped me. Yes. Yes, and just my counselor too has been a very good just like resource point for me. And there's so many just like amazing free opportunities that if you just use them, can really help you like grow a lot. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and make the whole process more successful as well.
I just want to say, yeah, I also, same thing. I am now on Prozac because of the college, and I would not have been able to do half the things I did without it. And I think it's so hard for people to accept that they need like help or they need like
Right,
something to help them accomplish things. Because that was something for me that I was like, I'm not gonna get on medication, but now I am, and now I can actually function. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help.
I think that's super good advice.
And
Very
super
good
cheap,
advice.
super cheap.
Well, I invited people who weren't able to come on a Thursday evening, but all of you have some favorite classmates as well. Does anybody want to give a shout out to someone who's not here today?
Yeah, I'll give a couple shout outs. Just to the college, I want to thank my coaches, Coach Zoe, softball, Big Al, Maddox, Rachel, my father, my mom too, of course. My dad's actually my softball coach at the college,
Right.
so I get a nice thing there. And my field hockey coach, Coach Cohen, Coach Hannah, wouldn't be able to do it without them. My teammates, Olivia, Bam, Shannon, Key, Kate. I don't want to forget anybody, but
Yeah, it's two big
appreciate
teams
them all.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Golf
I
coach
appreciate
too,
them
Coach
too.
Lamb, appreciate him too.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to give a big shout out to my sisters. I know my sorority sisters, Sigma Kappa. Love them. They got me through a lot of tough times in college, and I refer to them as like my genuine sisters because they are the family that got me here. And as an only child, like that is genuinely like a family that has formed around me that I never knew I would have needed.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Well, I think go ahead real quick, Ray, because we're time is dwindling.
Okay. Well, I want to shout out my fraternity, my brothers in SAE. I definitely want to shout out the entire music department. That includes the professors and all the MIS students. I do want to give a shout out to the choral people, all my choral people, including the professors as well. Honestly, just all my friends, everyone who's always been there for me, the people that I just met recently that have been really close in my life too. My family, everyone and anyone who's ever made an impact on my life. I just want to say thank you.
Great.
I'll also give quick shout outs. Shout out to everyone in the room. Shout out to the whole psychology department, especially Julia, Bridget, Brenda, and everybody else going to learn. Everybody's great. Shout out to Peggy in the counseling center. Shout out to Katie. Shout out to Katie, Tetsuo, and Keith. They do way too much. They really need some more help. Shout out to Pancrats for always taking pictures of like and shout out to Albright. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the student body.
Shout out to my fellow DPs.
There we go.
Shout out to Vay. Love you. Bye.
We could have talked all evening, I think, and the conversation will continue after the program is over. I'm very much looking forward to seeing all of you walk across that stage on Sunday, and congratulations and thank you for all that you've given to this school.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you as well for joining us on this program. We'll see you again in June on another edition of The Albright Scholar. So long.